Today is Tuesday, May 13th. We welcome you back to the Frozen Edge, your daily home for a deeper dive into the analytics behind the NHL's betting market, helping you craft your picks, props, and parlays as the chase for sports' greatest trophy races on. A hot night last night, 5-for-6 in the Carolina game, and a lot of that because of our former senior manager of hockey analytics sitting on the other side, Timo Seppa. Timo, what's happening?
Not much. We got some good stuff to cover in last night's games and the one game on the slate tonight. So let's get at it, Casey.
And Casey Ditzel, and as you mentioned, just a one-game slate, so a little bit shorter form episode, but in covering the other missing game, we're going to pick up some Conn Smythe odds to talk a little bit of futures here, but start by looking back at last night, and we'll start on the Carolina-Washington game. Seemed like everything we talked about, we talked it right into existence, and Carolina all of a sudden has taken a stronghold on this series, now 3-1. Kind of the one thing that we didn't agree upon yesterday was who was going to come away with the win. Now Carolina will head back to Washington for game 5 with a stronghold.
Yeah, I was disappointed in Washington early in the game, right? I mean, they ended up with 2 goals. Um, it looked like Carolina was just stifling them, both at 5-on-5 and on the power play. It looked like Washington just did not have an answer for Carolina. Zone entries were terrible on the power play. They had the 4-minute power play, and they were having trouble even getting into the zone in 4 minutes. So, I mean, I put that on the Washington coaching staff. I mean, like I understand that they don't go out and they don't play the game, but one of the big things you can do in a playoff series is you can adjust. And obviously, Carolina is an excellent team. They play that possession game we talked about. They defend zone entries great on the PK. They're a top PK team. If you're the Washington coaching staff, you have got to connect the dots for your players to help them figure out how they are going to solve that. And um, yes, they did get 2 goals, but that was coming from behind, and I put it on the Washington coaching staff to not give their players better solutions to break down Carolina.
Well, we're seeing why Carolina was the heavy favorite, and we were a bit surprised on why Washington was such an underdog going into this. Carolina has silenced a lot of the haters, but looking at last night, it was just the under that did not go our way. Carolina with the 60-minute line, one of the ones we talked about, Ovechkin hit his shot prop that came on a Dylan Strome assist, so that was a twofer for us. And Taylor Hall with a point, Seth Jarvis with a goal. Not quite the same story on the Edmonton Vegas. We hinted at the Edmonton money line. Stuart Skinner, maybe the biggest surprise of that one. After all kinds of trouble through his first 3 starts, he gets his first postseason win here and gets Edmonton the 3-1 series lead. Skinner a shutout in a 3-0 victory.
Yeah, obviously we were looking at the track record so far with Calvin Pickard and with Stuart Skinner. Obviously, it's the playoffs. You're talking about relatively small samples of games. With I believe it was 6 for Pickard and 3 for Skinner, at least as far as how many decisions they had before. And when we talk about playing the percentages. We're not talking about certainties. We're talking about percentages. And we liked Edmonton better if they would have had a healthy Calvin Pickard in there. But give Skinner credit. He had a rough game the game before. He bounced back really well. Obviously, you're the last link there. Give credit to Edmonton as far as the team for playing in front of him, but give credit for Skinner bouncing back. I mean, we will be talking about Connor Hellebuck here in a moment, and we haven't seen him bounce back a ton in these playoffs. So in this one game, give Stuart Skinner credit for bouncing back.
We had Adam Henrique from way downtown, plus 650 for a goal. He scored twice, not even on the list of options
Wow.
for 2+ goals on most sports books. And the game-winning goal on the 1-0 marker adds two to kick off Edmonton's 2-0 lead. Evander Kane also added in a goal. And Henrique seems to be one of these big-time players. Got his first goal of the playoffs last year in the conference final, added two more in the Stanley Cup final last year. What impressed you about his play?
Yeah, he's you see a lot with the teams that are left in the playoffs that they have picked up um, players with interesting skill sets as far as these complementary players, whether it's third line, fourth line guys, whatever. Um, Henrique, early in his career with New Jersey, was known as a big time two-way forward, big time defensive forward. In his first couple seasons with New Jersey, had crushed it on stuff like SAT percentage. Um, he has become a face-off specialist kind of in the second half of his career. You look at his face-off numbers, he had one season where he was about 51%, but he's basically been a guy who's been an elite 55% face-off guy for the second half of his career. So he brings those aspects with a smart defensive player as far as a bottom six forward, but he's still got some skill. He's not he's 34, he's not 40, so he can pot some goals, and he had some for Edmonton uh, last playoffs, and I believe he has three this year, including two in this last game. So interesting player in there for Edmonton, valuable role player for them.
Edmonton and Carolina both take 3-1 series lead. Dallas, a chance to do that tonight as we move to the Tuesday slate. Just the one game, 8 p.m. start on the East Coast. Game 4. The game lines have Winnipeg as the underdog, plus 125, minus 210 on the spread. Dallas, a minus 150 favorite, plus 168 to cover the minus 1.5 spread, and the over under set at 5.5. This is an interesting one because Winnipeg has gone defeated on the road to this point. Connor Hellebuck has been shaky all postseason, but it is a absolute must win for Winnipeg to avoid the fate that both Washington and Vegas had last night, trying not to fall down 3-1 in their series. But this is one for Connor Hellebuck specifically that you kind of get the feeling he needs to steal one here tonight. And we've talked about it almost every show. The save percentage being down, being a Vezina caliber guy that really Winnipeg needs that they just haven't seen. And for Dallas, Jake Ottinger's just been steady. That's kind of been the edge in this series. Do you see Winnipeg bouncing back, or do you think Dallas is going to keep rolling on home ice here?
I mean, like, as we've been saying, I mean, right now, how much trust can you have in Connor Hellebuck? I mean, I think he's a slam dunk Vezina winner. I mean, I'd be disappointed in the voters if he wasn't the Vezina winner. He led in all the categories that make a difference this year. I mentioned last time that has he been worn down by by playing too many games? Leading the league in games played. Plus, then you got throw in the Four Nations, and the Four Nations ground down a bunch of guys. You don't think about goalies so much, but you're looking at Hellebuck and Ottinger. Frequently we talk about teams getting hot. Is a team getting hot at the right time of year? In this case, I think we're talking about goalies. Our goalies getting hot at the right time of year. And yeah, Ottinger hasn't been a home run this playoffs, but the trajectory is upward. So he had an all right regular season, and he's picking it up in the playoffs. Whereas obviously, as we talked about, Hellebuck was awesome in the regular season and not in the postseason. So those are the trajectories for those goalies. One is upward, one is downward. The question is, can Hellebuck turn it around? Is it possible? Sure. I'm right now, I'm not seeing it.
Timo and I both like the Dallas money line at minus 150. Another interesting one to think about maybe is a 60-minute tie. And it's just as important of a game for Dallas. And thinking that if you drop this one, go back to a 2-2 series tie, you're sending Winnipeg back on home ice where they've been the complete opposite of their road struggles. They've been dominant at home.
Yeah.
Is a tie something that you might have your eyes on? Plus 330 odds there, thinking about, a tight played, maybe lower scoring game that could take it to overtime. We've not seen overtime yet in this series.
I mean, it's not crazy to think about that, and at those odds, I think it's a solid roll of the dice. I mean, like I don't know, it's hard for me not to have Hellebuck imprinted in my mind right now, and to go like, how's this game not going to be um, Winnipeg in an extra attacker situation late in the game, trying to tie it up. So, yeah, I think that it's a good roll of the dice at those odds, and that's certainly one way it could play out.
One of the lines is Ottinger at 26 and a half saves. To downgrade that by 125 plus saves for Jake Ottinger is minus 125 odds. And that would be thinking about just what Timo said, having Winnipeg firing shots at the net late in the game, trying to play catch up. The
Yeah.
Ottinger save props, certainly something to think about. Maybe a tighter defensive game than we've seen. If both these goalies can play to their brand, it is dead odds at minus 105 to pick up the under in this game at under 5.5. Those are a couple of the props we've got our eyes on tonight. Timo, it's been Dallas's play that's really impressed you. What are some of the things about Dallas's strong suits that stand out?
Yeah, let's lean back on some of the stats that we've gotten from our friends at Stathletes. Thank you, Megan and Greg, again on these. Um, just looking at over the regular season, we had Dallas as Stathletes had Dallas as averaging 4.56 odd man rush opportunities per game. That was the third most in the regular season. So that is Dallas's strong suit, is scoring on the odd man rush. On the flip side, looking at their 5-on-5 play in the first round, the Stars had the lowest expected goals created off of the cycle, 1.18 expected goals per game. So their Dallas's game is odd man rush, less goals and opportunities from extended time in the zone. So that is what Dallas is looking for, and that is what Winnipeg should concentrate on defending.
Let's switch it over to some Conn Smythe talks, looking at futures outside of the current series going on, as four teams will advance to the Eastern Conference Final in the next weekend. Conn Smythe odds, you got two at the top that are tied favorites, Connor McDavid and Mikko Rantanen. No surprises there at plus 450. Freddie Anderson is the number 3 pick. He's 7-1 odds. Carolina has slowly and kind of sneakily been working their way towards being a cup favorite. They were listed after taking the 3-1 series lead before Edmonton did the same as the favorites to win it. Now Edmonton has surpassed them once again. Leon Draisaitl right behind him, 10-1. Barkov and Sebastian Aho with Nylander all 15-1 odds. Any of those top favorites that you have your eyes on? And when we look at that, thinking about what I just said, Oilers to win the cup, right around plus 280, McDavid at plus 450 for the Conn
Mm.
Smythe. So you're getting about double the odds, sometimes well more than that, if you're picking one of these players versus their respective teams.
Yeah, when we went into looking at this, I was specifically had my antenna up for Rantanen and Anderson, because I think you certainly could make a great case for the Stars or the Hurricanes winning the cup. So, if you are somebody who feels strongly about the Stars or Hurricanes winning the cup, I think that picking one of those players as the Conn Smythe winner might give you an even bigger payout, because um, you know, Carolina, we talk about it scoring by committee. So Anderson is the top save percentage goalie right now in the playoffs. So that's a plus for him. And he plays on a team where the scoring is spread out. So seems like a very good bet that if the Hurricanes did win the cup, that Anderson would be the Conn Smythe. And Rantanen, not only has he gone nuts on the as far as just like numbers of goals and points, but he has had those signature moments in the playoffs so far. Yeah, they're in the earlier rounds, so if Dallas wins the cup, they still have 2.5 more rounds to go through here, and who knows who else becomes a hero. But Rantanen certainly would be a very good guess as far as Conn Smythe winner if Dallas did win the cup.
Sergei Bobrovsky a little farther down. He's 20-1, tied with Jake Ottinger. He was one of the favorites last year when McDavid became the first in a while to win the Conn Smythe on a non-winning cup
Yeah.
team. Jacob Slavin, another one on the Carolina Hurricanes that kind of sticks out to me. He's at 30-1 odds, tied with
Mm.
Austin Matthews, two guys a little farther down the list. And it's been something we've talked about, Carolina not really having one star scorer. I think it would be more likely to lean on a Jacob Slavin at 31 than
Mm.
maybe an Aho at
Yeah.
15-1 odds. Kind of similar with Nylander running away with it right now, being
Yep.
slept on quite a bit. Mitch Marner at 30-1, Austin Matthews at 30 to
Yeah.
1.
Yeah, and I think a lot of interesting stuff there. So like I'll hit the Maple Leafs first since you mentioned that last here. Yeah, Nylander certainly has been the forward that has stood out so far in the playoffs. However, if you're getting um, twice the odds for Matthews or Marner, that is where I would put my money if I was a believer in Toronto, and I think Toronto is obviously a longer odds as far as winning the cup. Not, I mean, because I don't know if I believe in them to get all the way through these series to win. So Austin Matthews, okay, maybe he just does not. Maybe he is just not a good matchup this year with Florida. But if they make it out of this round, could he go nuts in the next two rounds? And yes, you could make that kind of an argument for Austin Matthews. The other guys you were mentioning, Bobrovsky. I had almost forgotten that McDavid was the one that won the Conn Smythe last year. I remember the conversation on social media was that Barkov was the likely winner, and that was a series where if that series ended early and the Panthers closed it out instead of letting Edmonton prolong that series, Bobrovsky, in my mind, was the Conn Smythe winner if that series went short. It seemed like the consensus on social media was that it was going to be Barkov, but then obviously McDavid ended up winning the Conn Smythe, and that was understandable, and he was deserving. I'll throw in just one more comment here, and that's on Slavin. Without having a Brian Leach type 1994 playoffs, I think a defenseman really has to be just crazy outstanding. You have to be like a Cale Makar going nuts or a Brian Leach or whatever to win the Conn Smythe as a defenseman. So I appreciate Jacob Slavin as a player. I don't know if he's the guy who's going to stand out in that kind of a crazy way. I feel like, again, yeah, I understand the odds are much different, but I'm putting my money on Frederik Andersen if I think that Carolina is winning the cup.
All eyes forward tonight on the one game, Winnipeg and Dallas in game 4. Timo, did you have a chance to get outside, enjoy that weather yesterday?
Yep, and we've got another nice day here today, so looking forward to it once again here. Nice day here in Connecticut.
The pollen rush is kicking off in Rochester, New York. Pollen and allergies, something that's not fun. One thing that is fun, winning on picks, props, and parlays. That's what we're here for. The Frozen Edge. We'll be back tomorrow. In the meantime, make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Twitter. We post all of our picks per game on Twitter, as well as the full shows on the other platforms. Be advised, check the analytics. We're helping with the analytics behind the betting market and make some wise picks, continue to up the winnings. And again, we'll be back tomorrow for Timo Seppa. I'm Casey Ditzel. Until next time, have a good one, everybody.